this video was supposed to just talk about the trailer like a lot of others that I've already done, but I feel like there's something else here that I want to talk about a lot more. And plus, the new trailer is no different than the other trailers we've gotten. You know what the only difference is? It's longer. That's it. There's nothing else to really comment on, except for one thing that I want to discuss, but I will briefly talk about the trailer. It's the same crap we've been getting with the teasers. Again, it's just twice as long. The effects still look like garbage. The goat legs look like they just taped a couple branches to this kid. And Chiron, well, let's just say it's quite the horse's ass of an effect. And the green screen effects, or I guess they're technically not even green screens, the volume effects still look like garbage, and I have no fucking idea what I'm even looking at here. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. I've spent more time thinking about what this could be than I would like to admit, and I can't figure it out. We get a little bit of action, like 2 seconds of the capture the flag fight, and there's nothing inherently wrong with it other than the fact that everybody's basically standing still and waiting to fight him one at a time. I'm not really sure why, if they have him surrounded. But there is one thing I really want to talk about with this one, and it's not the fact that there's a lot of shots in this that I don't even understand where it is. I already pointed out that one, but especially there's also a shot of him and Annabeth kneeling at some kind of statue. I don't know what's going on there. And that's something else I wanted to bring up is with the cast. Because again, and that's something we'll be talking about here in a minute, is because every time Percy and Annabeth showed up on screen, my brain did not register the fact that that was supposed to be Percy and Annabeth. And that's where you fail when casting for an adaptation or a reboot or something, is that, especially if you're a fan of something, you should be able to recognize the characters on sight. And I'm not the only person that said this. And the simple fact that every time Annabeth showed up on screen, my brain took a while for my brain to register, oh yeah, that's supposed to be Annabeth. Or the same thing with Percy, it's like, oh yeah, that's supposed to be Percy. So that's part of the reason where he failed as casting, but it gets worse, and we'll talk about that in a second. One thing I do want to mention about the trailer, though, that I found pretty funny, other than Riptide being the size of a fucking hobbit's dagger, I already made fun of this poster in a community post, but seriously, why is the sword the size of Bilbo Baggins' sword from The Hobbit? Why? It's supposed to be a 3-foot-long blade, and yet this thing is about the size of my foot. And it looks even worse in motion in the trailer, trust me. He has to, cup his hands like this in order even to hold the thing with 2 hands. But what I find funny about the clip where they actually show Riptide, and the funniest thing is when it first shows him, that's supposed to be, the big epic shot of the trailer, and it looks silly as fuck. But what I noticed in that scene is that as much as Riordan has bitched and moaned about all the changes the movie made, even though he's never watched them, he apparently took this change from the movie because he's fighting the Minotaur with the sword. That didn't happen in the book, but it happened in the original movie, and it happens here. So I wonder, I wonder how many book fans are gonna defend that by saying, he changed it so it's okay, yet the movie did the same thing, yet they'll find a way to bitch about it still. That's how this stuff works. And also, I see all these YouTube videos and all these articles that I obviously don't watch or read, sucking Riordan's dick about how great this show's gonna be. Yet every time I see a promotional image put up on Instagram or Twitter, mostly Instagram, I don't really use Twitter, but every time I do it, there's so many comments clowning on this show. Not just the casting, but people also saying that Disney's gonna turn it into woke shit. And I even saw a comment recently on one of them that was wishing they had made more movies, and it had a ton of likes and everything. So that, it was almost 1,000 likes on it. So that tells me one thing, is that there are more fans of the movies than the Riordan suck-offs will let you realize. And that shows with people who watch my channel, because because I get a lot of views anytime I do anything Percy Jackson, even with the movies. But this is what I want to talk about in particular, because I saw this was supposed to be just a short rant about the trailer, but this seems like more important to focus on. This is from Bounding into Comics. Percy Jackson writer Rick Riordan claims race-replacing characters in Disney Plus series was so that everyone could look at the series and see themselves. Oh boy, yeah, this is an argument that's used a lot by these jackoffs in Hollywood that race replace everybody. It even starts with him like going on a rant about his sons. Like that was, I guess his son was kind of the inspiration for the books. But he even quotes the article even says he starts by using his son as a shield, and that's kind of the thing. But this is what I want to get into. The entire narrative, because he also used it as like, oh, my son's an outsider, so he's like, he needs to be able to see himself in there, and that's why he changed all the races so that everybody can see themselves in the series. But this is exactly what I was thinking when I saw these quotes. The entire narrative does not pass the sniff test. If Riordan truly wanted everybody to be represented via race, all of the characters would need to be shapeshifters like X-Men's Mystique. Otherwise, not everyone would be represented. White girls are no longer represented through Annabeth Chase. None of the main characters are black males. Where's their representation? How can anybody truly be represented if they did not cast actors that look exactly like everybody? And that's exactly where this narrative falls apart. And we'll get to something else that already destroyed this narrative a few years ago. So, yeah, that's exactly the point. How can you claim to be... everybody can be represented in this show by changing these casting when it only represents... when the representation is entirely secular? Annabeth no longer represents white girls, I guess. Percy can't represent black males. Asian people can't see themselves as any character in this show. Side note, were there any Asian characters in the Percy Jackson novels? Frank doesn't count, that's Heroes of Olympus. But yeah, that's exactly the problem. Is that you can't represent everybody by changing casting, because all you're gonna do is you're making your cast more diverse, but all you're going to do is just, you're changing where the representation is. You're not making it more diverse, you're making it just at a different secular, if you know what I mean. It's hard to explain because it's so stupid. It's such a stupid comment that's hard to explain, but you have to know what I mean. If you don't, then, Yeah, there's even another article. Becky Riordan provides bogus excuse as to why Disney's Percy Jackson racially replaced Annabeth Chase. And that's pretty much what we're going to talk about here in a second. It's still in this article. On top of this, his own wife already blew up this narrative back in July. Okay, this wasn't as far back as I thought. I thought this was like last year, but no, back in July. Riordan's wife, Becky Riordan, shared that the reason Annabeth was white in the first place was due to publishing standards in 2002. Yeah, this is the quote. Does it help to know that when those characters were created in 2002, the expectation in publishing was a white default? Annabeth's perceived whiteness in the books is a default. Skin color and hair color is not meaningful to their character. You fucking blow me. If that's the case, then why did Riordan have to feel the need to point out her blonde hair in every other page of every single novel? And not to mention, saying that it being created in 2002 and being a white default is one of the most racist things I've ever seen in my life. Next, she made it clear that her husband's explanation that the characters need to be race replaced for people is to feel represented is complete bogus. She wrote that one of the reasons I love this fandom so much is because they can see beyond the mainstream expectations and see themselves. The character belongs to all of the fans, not just the white fans. Again, this is some of the most racist stuff I've ever seen in my life. Basically, what I'm seeing here is the same thing that Star Wars did, just kind of differently. Star Wars basically said fuck you to the original trilogy or prequel trilogy fans, saying we want these new diverse people that definitely won't go see the movie, but they'll give us a like and a retweet on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same thing here. They don't want white fans anymore. They want the diverse people that will suck off to their new casting choices. This is some of the most, again, how can you read this? And the people will defend Riordan so much and claim other people are racist for calling this crap out. Not only did Riordan's wife completely undermine his claim, but anyone who's been following Hollywood knows all of the major studios, including the Walt Disney Company, have casting quotas for their shows and movies. This has been shown. Little Mermaid, Peter Pan and Wendy, the fucking Witcher show, Rings of Power. I can't think of what that Lord of the Rings show was. But yeah, this whole narrative that they're trying to create only works if you're one of the people that want to defend Riordan and this show, no matter what, no matter how racist you have to be towards white people, because that's what they want. They want people to be racist towards white people because, again, they have an agenda. They have casting quotas now. Fuck, even the Oscars have diversity quotas now. I mean, the Oscars have already been a joke, but you understand what I mean. And I also love the fact that there were some people that said, I think it was probably Disney that made these casting choices and he didn't get a say in it. So, okay, first off, that's just painting your author who was apparently so dedicated to getting a accurate adaptation that he turned into a complete cuck for Disney. But two, that already blows up when there's already a quote here that's basically saying that he made the casting choices. Oh, and also, I forgot to mention, there's also another article here that I'm not going to get too far into, but after encouraging people to harass Percy Jackson fans, Becky Riordan participates in pro-murder rally. So, yeah, that tells you all you need to know about the Riordans. So, yeah, again, the show already looks like crap, and the Riordans are some of the most insufferable, despicable people in Hollywood, and Disney is such a shit corporation. I hope this show fails, and I can't wait for this show to be canceled. So that's all I got, and I'll see you next time. Bye.